Hi guys, welcome to my channel. It's Ani, and today I'm going to be talking about this painting. I posted this on my Instagram, like just not really expecting much because it was actually a part of a school assignment that I did super last minute. So this was done very quickly, which means that this is probably going to be a super short video. Well, maybe not super short, but compared to my like hour-long time lapses, I don't have much to work with this time. So, I'm just gonna be explaining some things because I didn't really expect this, but a lot of people started asking questions when I posted this. Someone even outright asked for a YouTube tutorial, so that's what I'm doing. Another thing, since I didn't really plan on making this a tutorial because it was an assignment again, um, the brush I used is not like a widely available default brush you can really like make or access because I used a brush that a friend on Instagram had sent me. So, but that being said, though, I will say that's not super important. I know people really like to use the exact same brush, but trust me when I say it's not that important. I have a video, I think it's two videos back, where I recreated an old drawing and I used a round brush and I told you how to make it. It was literally one adjustment from the default, and that works pretty similarly to the one I used here. So, if you want to like follow to a T, I'm sure most people use these as kind of like overarching like concept kind of tutorials, like more idea based than like copying exact what my hands are doing. But there's that. If you want to go back to that video and find how to use a brush the way I use this one, then that's that. But the sketch that I'm doing right now is with a default brush. I use the Narinder pencil. And then after blocking in this like really messy basic sketch, I go in with a more refined version on another layer on top. And I didn't include any reference pictures or anything because I didn't use any because I was in such a hurry. But the main influence was Carrie. The point of this drawing was to draw a tiara, and so I thought that a vampire version would be kind of a cool spin because she would actually enjoy being carried. But anyway, I put in the flat colors and then I usually start with a face. I am a very dessert comes first kind of person when it comes to drawing, so that's where I usually start with rendering. I always put in like the flat shadows, and because she's super pale and she's a vampire, I opted for greenish tint. You can see I just put that there. And I opt for greenish like shadow colors, nothing too warm. And then I knew that that cheek highlight was had to be there. Like that was important in my head. So I put that almost immediately just so I can see where it was going. And another thing, here's a little color theory, little actual advice kind of thing here where you see that yellow secondary light source. Y'all, I think secondary light sources have been explained to death, but it is super important. It elevates your drawings a lot. And I went for this orange color because a lot of this drawing is blue or green, besides the blood. And red is a like inherently dark color. So I knew I wanted the secondary light source to be an inherently light color. Even if that orange, yellow, whatever was pretty in the middle of its own color family, it's the yellow is an inherently light color compared to red, so I knew it would work with the red lipstick, and I knew it would work with like the cool tone shadows because yellow is a warm color. And I wanted to point that out because I feel like people often talk about color theory without using actual words and examples to kind of show what they're talking about and what the application of it looks like. I also wanted to point out a part of this painting that I actually really like, which is the ear. And if you're looking to do a painting that has a similar lighting situation, which is sort of backlit, sort of overhead, whatever, and you wanted to like add more dimension, add more realism to it, even if it's not completely correct, which who cares? It's a drawing, it's not a photo. I I just pay attention to the ear because it's like it does that thing where you put your some part of your skin that's more transparent under sunlight, where you just do the dark red and then you do the white hard light over it, and then I used a cooler tone to kind of do the inside of it where the areas would be thicker where there's more cartilage, and I feel like that just adds a really nice kind of nuance to the portrait. So yeah. Now, after I do a little bit more work on the rest of the body, I will be doing the hand, and I wanted to kind of explain how I did that. Like how I basically rendered like a wet object. And when wet things drip, they kind of congeal and the color gets darker because it's more loaded up in that area with the juice. And those are what those droplets are. That's why the blood gets so much darker. And I basically didn't have time to do a whole deep dive on what liquid looks like on skin. And so I decided a quick shortcut would be to kind of treat it as if it's latex. And so I added those like white shines. And you have to add them super sparingly because if you ever look at latex, it's usually a really bright, hard light in one area and not really all over like it would be silk or satin. So, yeah, those like white dots are what those are, and the reflected light, of course. And since I had basically established that the reflected light from the bottom is that yellow, the reflected light from the side, I didn't want it to be the same color, so I opted for a light blue, which was still a nice contrast against the red. Now here comes the glove. So I struggle with the glove. I should have definitely used a reference. I did not. I figured that it would be more of a waste of time to look for one for a long time than to redraw the same thing a billion times until I was satisfied with it. But I actually did learn a lot. I learned a lot about how satin works, or that shiny glove fabric. And basically, what I learned was less is more. What I mean by that is you can see all like the scrunkles and wrinkles and scrunches, whatever, that I drew. I ended up just covering it, like where the back of the hand is, um, because it just didn't look right. And I think fabric like satin, it doesn't catch like the knuckles, any like muscle or bone definition. It doesn't catch the veins or all this stuff that a much thinner glove would, like I don't know, maybe a rubber glove. It just kind of smooths it over, which might be common sense for most people, but it was not to me. I kept drawing and redrawing it and being like, why doesn't this hand look right? I defined all of the small little folds that could possibly happen, and it's because dum dum gloves don't work like that. Gloves are a fabric that's smooth over. Anyway, that's what I learned. And most of the bunches and folds happen around the wrist, probably around the base of the fingers. You can see I put a little bit in, but I was really low on time, you guys, so I just kind of phoned that part in. And much of it will always be on the seams where they're sewn. And yeah, well, you could see on where the pinky is, the pinky side down to where the ulna bone would be. Those are all, that's where all the crinkles would be, basically. And the same goes for the stash. Like, I wanted to be the same fabric, so I used the same colors and everything. On to the prize piece of this whole thing, which is the tiara. Well, not really the prize piece for me. I don't know. I don't like drawing jewelry. I should probably get better at it, so maybe I would like it then, but it just seems so tedious to me. I don't like things that are little and patterned and super monotonous, but yeah, you can see that's basically what this whole process was. I covered the light part in dark so I can just then redraw all the individual stones by just dotting them on. And then, oh, I added a little tea because that was part of the assignment. You can ignore that. It's tea for Tiara. But yeah, the inside of the jewels, I don't think you guys should listen to me on this because I never draw jewelry, I never draw gems. And so I just took the lasso tool and made a bunch of shapes. I did look at references. This is like the one part I looked at references because I was so lost. Um which says something, you know. Take this with a grain of salt. But I took a lasso tool, I made a bunch of random shapes in there, and then I filled them in and they looked bad. So I decided that sparkle solve everything, and I did a bunch of like those line sparkles where they look like X's. I've always liked that. It's like a cartoon sparkle. I just like how like I don't know, it's so corny but in a cute way. So yeah, that's what those are. And I don't want to over explain this part because I'm not at all confident in it, but basically half of the tiara was gonna be covered in blood, so I made half of it red, and that's that's kind of the only difference in how I did any of it. But it was all just the same kind of hodgepodge process that was just me speeding things up as much as possible. And with that, we're finished. Woohoo! We are done. The relief, the relief that washed over me when I finished this was crazy, you guys. I did this the night before it was due. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Um, and if you would like to own her, she is on my imprint shop. I will link it below. And if you follow my Instagram, the link is in my bio. You will definitely be able to find it. I am going to try to make more videos since it's summer and I don't have class. And I also have a new computer, so I'm really out of excuses to not do this. So yeah, keep an eye out if you're interested, and have a nice day or night.